Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here, family and friends. We are celebrating Susan today, Susan Janet Burdick, and it's incredible that we get to be here together. This is technology. If I might do a little housekeeping very quickly and let you know a couple things about how we are doing this today and how we are viewing, it'll be short. As far as the tech being a little limited, if Zoom was to crash, do not worry. You can go back in by logging back in with the same link that you used in the email that Greg sent you. And then also, you are on mute so that we can avoid us all talking over each other. If you've experienced Zoom, which most of you probably have, when one person speaks, it cuts out all the other people. So that's the only reason why right now. We're recording this on YouTube, and it will be on a YouTube channel called Remembering Sue. Please subscribe to that channel, and then you can add your comments in the chat there if you don't get a chance to today. All right. If the video quality is lagging, don't worry, it'll all be on YouTube too. I think those are all of the little things I needed to go over for the housekeeping, so thank you. One moment. Now, welcome everybody. As I said before, we are celebrating this incredible woman. She lived an incredible life. As you all know, she was so gracious and so giving and so kind and so physically beautiful. She was a very special human being. I think it's important to hear some of the speakers now who will tell you about their relationship with Sue and bring even more life to this celebration. I'm going to start with the La Mesa Dale Book Club. The La Mesa Dale Book Club has some wonderful women in it, and their names are Dee DiCarlo, Helena Bruner, Cricket Kuhn, Lisa Mangosing, Linda Coperud, Katie Richardson, Amy Thomason, and June Brock. Thank you. Our video will start in a moment.
I'm here in room 11, Sweetwater Springs. This was Sue's room for so many years before she retired, and I inherited it, and she so generously passed on so many books and supplies to me that now surround me here and make me think of her daily. And I'm remembering what a beautiful, awesome person that Sue is. When I came and joined the kindergarten team, she really took me under her wing and was just so kind. And she gave me the respect of a colleague, but with the loving care of a mother. And she always made sure that I had ideas, I had resources, that I could keep moving forward. And I know she was a teacher who loved what she did. She really cared about the students, and she did a great job teaching them the academics, but she also made school an enriching place where kids really learned more about the world and got to do art. And I know that they are better for having been in her class. And while it's really heartbreaking that we lost Sue so early, I know that she lived a really rich and meaningful life and impacted thousands of lives, and this world is a better place for her having been in it. Miss you, Sue.
Hi, this is Sweetwater. No, we're not Sweetwater. What were we? La Mesa Dale. This is the La Mesa Dale Book Club, and we would like to get together today to honor one of our dear, dear friends, Su Burdick. Helena, you probably have the best stories of Sue because you spent so much time with her. You guys were good pals, weren't you?
Yes.
What can you tell us about Sue?
We spent a lot of time walking together. So we walked together at the lake for years and years. Thank you, Amy, for helping us, for starting us off on that journey. But Sue, the thing that really always amazed me about Sue is how smart she was, just how much she knew. So we would walk the lake and she would just, pick up a flower off the ground, the tiniest little thing. I'm like, why is she picking that weed? And she would say, do you know what this is? Of course I didn't. And she would not only tell me its regular name, but then also just, rattle off the scientific name of this plant that she just spotted on the ground. But she was always super excited about those things. She loved nature. She loved being in nature. I think that's one of the reasons that I enjoyed being around her so much. Awesome. That and her generosity. One thing that Sue would do, I learned, it took me a little while, a few times to learn not to do this, but one time I was sitting with her at the Starbucks before we were walking, and she had this beautiful necklace on. And I was like, Sue, that is a beautiful necklace. It just really matches what you're wearing so well. It's just gorgeous. And she's like, oh, you like this here? And she just took it off and put it on me. And I'm like, no, yes. And then I did that one more time with, she was wearing a ring. She was wearing this ring. And what a beautiful ring. Oh, here. She was generous. So
that's why I never asked her for her dress or her clothes that she had on.
There you go. And I finally learned to stop. So I finally learned to stop doing that. But then she figured out another way to share her things with us, not just her wealth of kindness and information, but also share her love of jewelry.
Yes, I agree. She was so very generous, and I'm wearing rings that Sue gave to me today in honor of her. And I think we all have a little piece of Sue that we treasure. And I'm going to pick up kind of on where Helena started about her love of nature. And one of my favorite memories is when all the girls, we drove out to a big empty field and we're going on a hike. And the big reason for that was the chocolate lilies. And she loved these flowers. And we just all walked together. And she was so excited every time we would find one. And she would tell us all about it. And we hiked until dark. And I think it was pretty much dark by the time we got back. But it's one of my favorite memories of her. And the other one is her beauty. She was just so gorgeous. And I would always ask her, like, how do you get your skin to look so beautiful? And she said, serum, that's what you need to have. Put that serum on there. And I was like, what kind? She goes, doesn't matter. Any serum, just put it on there. So anyways, that's what I did. I got some serum and I'm hoping it works on me as well as it worked on her. I love her and miss her very much.
Yes. I'm going to tag on to Helena, and I'm very glad to hear that it wasn't just me, because I talked to Sue one day and I said, oh, I just love that ring. I just love that hammered metal. And she took it off and gave it to me. And I wore it for a while. Then I lost the stone out of it. And then I got another one, had it put in, and I took it to the jeweler and basically gorilla glued this in so I don't lose it. And it's still one of my favorite rings. And I've had it on for several months recently. Not quite as long as COVID, but I was wearing it when she passed, and it was a lovely reminder of, as the rest of you have said, her generosity and what was good for me about Sue is her calmness. She was always calm, and I can be a bit of a energizer bunny, and she just was always calm, and that was a great contrast for me, and I appreciated that about her.
Certainly going to be missed in our group.
She wasn't just pretty on the outside, though. She was a beautiful person on the inside, because I know what was special for me was how she listened and cared about everything that I talked about. And so if I talked to her about a problem, she'd see me a month later and ask me how my problem was. She listened, she cared, and that was part of that beautiful person that she was, both on the outside and on the inside.
She must have been an amazing kindergarten teacher. I mean, she touched so many lives. And as teachers, I think during the day we have this kind of tunnel vision to get us through the day, and we're so focused on what we're doing. But just about every day after school, when the kids were all gone and she was maybe going to the office for copying, she would walk by my window and give a little knock, because I was always sitting there at my desk. Just give me a little wave and say hello. And, that was just so comforting and so thoughtful of her, because she didn't have to do that, give me a little hello, but she took the time to do that. And I'll always remember her for that.
Some of my first experiences with her were all out in nature. If Helena might remember, we taught summer school one year and did the Hike of the Week Club. I don't know that we did a hike every week, but we did do a lot of them. And it was wonderful being with her every time, because, again, she knew all of those plants that I didn't know anything about. We'd walk the lake. I think at some point I had a baby on my back, and she was just right there with me. And that was 20 years ago. And also, to tag on her generous spirit, since she's passed, I've walked around my house and I'm thinking, that birdhouse came from her. She gave that to me when I moved into the house. And that blanket that's over there was a wedding gift from her. And all of those earrings that she brought back from a trip. And I have a cross that she gave me from her trip to Italy when she sang at the Vatican. And those things have become much more precious to me now. And I'll have to take good care of them along with my ring.
Awesome. And I was rethinking about, Helena had reminded me that we got our masters together with Sue. And Helena, you want to tell the story about how, we're all sitting there going, what is this?
She always knew. Whenever we would just, it didn't matter what we were studying, what we were learning. Sue was just like a wealth of information. She wasn't like she didn't go on talking about things all the time, but whenever you needed something, we had a question, we're stuck. Sue, what is that word? What does that mean? All of us knew. We all would turn to Sue, and she would be there, and she would oh, that's just, and she, very matter-of-factly help us out.
And never made you feel like you were dumb or less, intelligent than anybody else. She would just, matter of fact, let you know where the word originated from and how it became the word that it is, and the whole background to it. It was amazing. Well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out and say that just want to say a few words and to offer to her boys, Greg and Ryan, and also to her favorite guy, Roger. So I would say her 3 favorite men in her life. Lucky to have all 3 of them. Our book club would like to present this garden stone, again, because of nature and her love of gardens. We'd like to present this to the boys and hopefully have them put it somewhere in her yard. And would someone like to read that for us?
And read it. My mother kept a garden of the heart. She planted all the good things that gave my life its start. I am my mother's garden. I am her legacy. I hope today she feels the love reflected back from me.
So boys, I hope you keep this in the garden for her, and just a piece of us to let her know how much she'll be missed. And Roger, we didn't forget about you as well. And we know she also had a garden at the cat house, I believe it's called. And this one is for Roger. Go ahead.
When someone you leave becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure.
And I know, Roger, that she treasured you as we all treasured her. So thank you very much. And in closing, I would like to say that this is from all of us. All of us have brought special talents and interests and abilities to our La Mesa Dale group. And Sue brought us nature. She shared her love of plants and flowers and hiking whenever possible. Nature was Sue. Sue was at home in nature. That was her element. Sue was the kind of friend you could tell anything, because She listened with her heart and responded with her soul. I only wish I had made more time to tap into that wealth of knowledge that she had. Her patience, her kind heart, and tenderness seemed to never run out, whether with her students, the parents of her students, her friends, or her loved ones. God bless you, Sue, and we'll miss you.
I'm Elizabeth Hoffmeister. I'm a known weeper, so this pre-recorded format has allowed me to do several takes so I could share the recording where I don't cry with all of you. Greg, Ryan, Roger, I'm so sorry for your loss, for our loss. Sue was one of my best friends in the world, and certainly my best friend in San Diego. Losing her so suddenly has left a big hole in my heart. We met as fellow soprano twos in the Ascension Choir over 20 years ago, and always sat next to each other at rehearsals. I loved singing with Sue because we could both learn the weird soprano two harmonies really quickly, and we were great at making our two voices sound like just one. That left us a lot of downtime while the other sections learned their parts. Sue would fill out her kindergarten progress reports, and I would look through catalogs so that we wouldn't get in trouble for talking and disrupting the rehearsal. We soon learned that we loved a lot of the same things, especially nature hikes and camping. Our families traveled together many times, and she became a proxy aunt for our daughter Sarah, whose own aunt lives far away in Wisconsin. Sue was really smart about a lot of cool subjects, so now I don't know who I will call to find out what bird, flower, or rodent I'm looking at. Who will tell me how to pronounce those lyrics to a French Christmas carol correctly? Or who will go with me to see that obscure play about Chopin when the theaters open again? To quote Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. The thing about Sue was that for me, she seemed to fill a place with light when she entered the room. I always felt happy to be around her. Sue made people feel loved. We lost her too soon.
Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Greg Burdick. I'm Su Burdick's oldest son. And I want to tell a story that my mom used to tell my brother and I back when we would visit Disneyland when we were kids. So my grandma and grandpa Schultz took my mom and my uncle Jack to Disneyland either on opening day in July 1955 or the opening month. Grandma says opening month. I think Uncle Jack says opening day. So at that time, my mom would have been about 7 years old, and she absolutely loved Disneyland. And I don't know if it was that visit that did it, or the Mickey Mouse Club, or just the Disney specials that were on TV. But she fell in love with Disneyland. And when she graduated high school, she got a job as a tour guide at Disneyland. And that was one of the more coveted jobs. You got to walk around like you got an equestrian field, wore like a riding hat and had a crop and a vest. Part of that job was not just giving regular guests a tour, but also VIPs. And one of the VIPs that she liked to talk about was Oscar award-winning director and actor Ron Howard. Yeah, the same guy from Happy Days and Andy Griffith, and the narrator for the best TV show ever, in my opinion, Arrested Development. So this was back in 1969, though. And at that time, Ron Howard was probably 14, 15 years old. This is about a decade before Happy Days. And he just finished his run with Andy Griffith. So he was kind of in a lull for his career. The biggest star at that time in the family would have been his younger brother, Clint Howard, who was on the tour as well. He was in a show called Gentle Ben at that time, which, I don't know if you just look at the photos, just looks like a kid trying not to be mauled by a bear. But I guess that was the huge hit of the day. And so Clint was the bigger star. So Mom showed them around Disneyland and, did her job as a tour guide, gave them all the little nuggets of knowledge and, who's in the castle and what's going on in Tomorrowland. But lunchtime came around and they were hungry. So Mom took them to, I think she said it was in Tomorrowland. She took them to go get a burger. So they go up, they order a burger, and then Mom looks it up and they don't have any money. And so my mom didn't flinch. She just went right ahead and paid for them. It probably didn't even add up to $1 back then, but she bought Ron Howard and Clint Howard lunch. So these were, Hollywood, teen child stars. Probably didn't have a big concept of money or just thought everybody would pay for them. But I really like that story just because it shows the type of person my mom really was. It didn't matter who you were. If you needed help, she'd be there to help you. And I don't want to get too choked up. This is only my 4th take of this, but that's how wonderful Mom was. And I miss her every day, but I think of stories like that and I smile and I laugh. So that is Mom's Disney tour guide VIP story.
Hello, this is Ryan, Sue's younger son. I have a thank you note from one of my mom's students named Marco. He wrote, "It is time for you to relax. Happy summer, period. You are the best, period. Teacher, period. I will miss you. By Marco." Seems like that kid knew how to write a letter. Thank you, Marco. My mother loved art and literature, languages, poetry, and of course, the wonders and mysteries of nature, like figuring out the names and uses for everything we could find on a walk. She loved mysteries. She devoured mystery books by the author. She would simply go to the library, choose what was next in the series or something she hadn't read, or pick a different author. She just kept reading. In one of her college societies, she was the bard or poet that read the invocation at meetings. Her group gifted her a book of poems and quotes in honor of her service. And she had me use that book to read to my Boy Scout troop, where I had signed up to be the chaplain's aide, where I would assist whenever they did a church service. And I was charged with invoking God and the wonders and mysteries and those types of thoughts at the beginning of all of our special ceremonies. She would actually pick the poems for me to read for an invocation or for the benediction and set the mood and tone for all of my most important Boy Scout ceremonies. And I'm thankful for that. One of the magazines she was last reading was left folded open to a page that had a few quotes on it. 2 of the quotes really spoke to me from that one. One from Jorge Luis Borges says, "The solution to the mystery is always inferior to the mystery itself." She reveled in watching murder mysteries and all types of mysteries and reading books. That was one of her things. Also, music was central in my mom's life. She sang in choirs for decades. My brother and I even got to join her on stage performing with an R&B 60s style girl group of harmony singers where my brother played bass and I played drum set. It was one of our first gigs. My grandmother tells the story of singing Rockabye Baby to Susan and Susan singing it back at only a year old. My mom attempted to teach our pet cockatiel bird, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," and the bird got pretty close. I've never been a singer, but I've learned to listen more closely, and when I relayed ideas that I was discovering about vocal performance to my mom, she said, "Yeah, it takes a lot of practice." So I'll keep practicing. She was a great teacher. She led by example and always gave positive praise. My mother's ear was well trained to rhythm too, and she would dance as soon as a few beats of music were played, even commercials. She'd start moving her shoulders and head and get that look on her face of pure enjoyment, just from feeling the groove. She prepared me for school dances by teaching me the two-step and the slow dance, sway, and the twist. I became a drummer and a percussionist and a music teacher, and I found that her natural seeming skills are very rare. During her last moments with us, my brother and I thanked her for everything she has taught us and all we have learned, and for caring for us so strongly our entire lives. We thanked her for walking with us and singing to us. That night when I played a James Taylor album on my phone, she perked up and said, "Oh, pretty guitar." She loved his finger-picking acoustic guitar style. Her taste in music has heavily influenced me throughout my life. I influenced her more recently with my taste in podcasts. For the last year or so, I had shared a podcast with her called Wonderful. The hosts, Griffin and Rachel, are a married couple, and they discuss a handful of topics that they really enjoy on each episode. Last month, I told her the exciting news that Rachel is pregnant and going to have a baby. My mom was excited for my excitement and said, "Oh, that's great, honey." There is a poetry segment on their show, and I had recently heard a really good one. In her hospital room, before she was gone, I got to share with her this poem called The Raincoat. It's by Ada Limon, and it's about a mother and child. The Raincoat. When the doctor suggested surgery and a brace for all my youngest years, my parents scrambled to take me to massage therapy, deep tissue work, osteopathy, and soon my crooked spine unspooled a bit. I could breathe again and move more in a body unclouded by pain. My mom would tell me to sing songs to her the whole 45-minute drive to Middle Two Rock Road, and 45 minutes back from physical therapy, she'd say even my voice sounded unfettered by my spine afterward. So I sang and sang because I thought she liked it. I never asked her what she gave up to drive me or how her day was before this chore. Today, at her age, I was driving myself home from yet another spine appointment, singing along to some maudlin but solid song on the radio, and I saw a mom take off her raincoat and give it to her young daughter when a storm had taken over the afternoon. My God, I thought, my whole life I've been under her raincoat, thinking it was somehow a marvel that I never got wet.
Hello, everyone. Jackie Schultz here. Wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about my sister and what a huge impact she had on my life. I want to see you all know what a sweet gal she was. But some things come to mind. I'm going to start with perhaps my favorite memory of her. One night we were sitting in the house in Lakewood, and I think we were pretty bored. It was shortly before Christmas, and I might have been 10 or 12 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood. And she says to me, "Come on, get your coat and hat. Let's go for a walk. I want to show you something." And so we did, and went outside, and it was completely dark outside, very gloomy night, and we began to walk. And she took me down Turner Grove Drive, across Del Amo, and a few more blocks down. And as we walked, it was incredibly foggy. Couldn't see hardly across the street. I remember it was just very foggy and kind of cold. But we were walking along and enjoying it so much, enjoying each other's company as we walked along. And we came to, I don't really recall what street it was, excuse me, but I believe it was Harvey Way, maybe, or one of those streets. And we turned up that street, and that was the Christmas street. Every house decorated to the max. Very incredibly beautiful displays in everybody's yards. And the fact that it was so foggy made everything just luminescent, incredible, and so beautiful. We walked along just admiring all the incredible Christmas displays. And I'm not sure where we went from there. Perhaps we walked on up to the Methodist Church for something, but we may have just turned around and walked home again. But I remember thinking what a wonderful big sister I had, that she would do that for me, get me out of the house and see something I didn't even know was a few blocks away. It was wonderful, and I can't really convey the feeling of warmth that I felt that night, even though it was so cold, for my sister. And a lot of love came to me from her that night. I'm going to go back a little bit further now and tell you some of the other things she did for me real quickly. She taught me how to make tomato soup, which I didn't know how to do properly. She also taught me how to make hot cocoa from scratch. And more as important as anything, she led me right into a love for music. She was always 3 years ahead of me in school, and so by the time I got to where she was, she had already done glee club and choir and a cappella and the madrigals, and so that kind of got me in. I got to go right into those classes with very little audition. And that was one aspect, got me singing and learning harmony. And then she also got me into folk music. One gift she gave me one Christmas, I believe, was an album I had never heard called Wednesday Morning 3 a.m. by Simon and Garfunkel. And I, of course, loved it. And I was trying to learn how to play guitar. And she bought me a Pete Seeger album of how to play folk guitar. And to this day, I still use the techniques that I learned off of that album. It's a record album, and he just took you step by step through how to play. So that was what got me going. into music. I remember in 1968, I think it was, she got me an album that I didn't even know had been released yet for Christmas. It was the White Album by the Beatles. Had an incredible influence on me. So all of that got me going into the music business, but really spurred me on when she was in a performance of My Fair Lady. And they made a recording of that and put it on an album. So she had a record out while I was still learning. And so I got a little jealous of that. And it made me work even harder. My sister was wonderful to me. Absolutely. Came to see me in Montana more than anybody did. She came to visit about once a year or every other year. It was wonderful having her here. She was my big sister, and I loved her so much. So I would like to play a folk song for you from Donovan that kind of expresses how I feel right now. Love you all. I hope you enjoy this. In a chilly hours and minutes of uncertainty, I wanna be in the warm hold of your loving mind, to feel you all around me and to take your hand along the sand. But I may as well try and catch the wind. When sundown pales the sky, I wanna hide a while behind your smile. And everywhere I look, your eyes I find. For me to love you now would be the sweetest thing, would make me sing. Oh, but I may as well try and catch the wind. When rain hands on the leaves with tears, I want you near to kill my fears, to help me leave all my blues behind. For standing in your heart is where I want to be, long to be. Ah, but I may as well try and catch the wind. Ah, but I may as well try and catch the wind.
Hello. This is Ruth Schultz Davies, Sue Burdick's mom. And I want to say that no mother could ask for a more loving, caring daughter than Susan. Devoting her retirement years to care of me and still keeping her sanity is amazing. We will miss her every day and try to keep our vow to her, which was take care of each other, and we will.
Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy. Hail our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious advocate, thine eyes of mercy toward us. And after this, our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I want to take a moment to remind you that we do have a YouTube channel where you can rewatch all of these things that we've seen today, as well as add your own comments in the chat. As long as you subscribe, please go ahead and do that. As you go forth today from this celebration of Susan Janet Burdick, I want you to know that you being here today, even though it's through this technology, is so important. Because as we love her, as we celebrate her life, we still know that we need each other as a shoulder to lean on. It's very important. Stay in touch with one another, even if it's just through email or text or a chat in our YouTube videos. It really does matter. Thank you so much for being here today. I send you forth in peace to love one another and to remember, as Grandmother reminded us and as Sue asked, take care of each other. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Okay. I think I need to get a whole box of tissues, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna upload this video and all the other videos that I get approval to Sue's YouTube channel, and I'll send everybody a link, and you can check it out. But give me a couple hours. I love you all. Take care.
Thank you.